And regardless, that's not even the type of leader that you want leading you and helping you thrive. Everyone else sees that you're a top performer and that you're doing amazing things, but for whatever reason, your manager who works with you all the time barely notices what you do. Welcome back to my channel where I teach high achievers how to land new jobs they love at companies they love. And in today's video, I'm gonna be walking you through 13 signs, the top signs that you are dealing with an insecure or toxic boss. Yes, we've all heard the saying that people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad bosses, but when you're either so used to how things are done at your company, or when you've been in similar experiences where you feel like you've had terrible bosses, then you can start to feel like you're the crazy one, or you're the unreasonable one, or you're the stupid one. Let's be honest. And so if you find yourself in that situation, then you're definitely gonna wanna stick around to the end to make sure you catch all of the signs that you're dealing with an insecure or toxic boss. And if you stay until the end, I'll share some tips on what you should do if you actually are in any of these situations. So let's start from 13 and work our way down. So 13, your manager does not let you do your job. It's been months and maybe even years into your position, and the job that you were hired to do, you've probably only done about 30% of it. And it's not that you don't want to do your job. You're a hard worker. You would like to get things done. But every time you talk to your boss and ask for more or put in requests to do the job you were hired for, you either get the runaround or your requests get put on the back burner. Along that same line of thought, number 12, your ideas are constantly turned down. Your manager does not value your opinion. They could really care less about any of the ideas that you present. And even though you might have even been hired for your ideas, it just seems like every time you suggest something new, everything gets turned down. And maybe they're even not interested in changing their processes, and they're okay with sticking to the status quo and are not open to new improvements and new ways of doing things. And if you're already like, oh my gosh, this is my life and I need to get out of here, then you definitely want to go ahead and grab my free guide on how to go from 0 interviews to dream job offers, so you can kick your job search off in the right way with more clarity and more confidence. Okay, so let's get back into it. The next one is something I hear so often from so many corporate professionals who are unfortunately in these type of experiences, and it's that your manager never offers constructive feedback. I recently talked to someone who told me that they only talk to their manager a handful of times a year. And if you find yourself in that situation where you're interested in learning, you wanna grow, you wanna get feedback to help you be better at what you do, but you're not getting any feedback from your manager, and it feels like every time you try to talk to your manager, it's like pulling teeth, then you're definitely in a situation where you're lacking the constructive feedback you need, and that is a problem. And another similar red flag is that if you are constantly expected to do things on your own, you never get any direction, and whenever you do ask for clarification or just want to get better understanding of what you should be doing, your manager always looks frustrated and annoyed that you had the audacity to ask them questions. The only time you feel like you're even speaking to your manager is when they need something from you, and there's not a two-way street of you being able to get the direction that you need to properly do your job. Number 9, your manager never notices or acknowledges your accomplishments. If you're in a situation where everyone else sees that you're a top performer and that you're doing amazing things, but for whatever reason your manager who works with you all the time barely notices what you do, then that is definitely a red flag. Worse, if you find yourself in a situation where you do get compliments from your colleagues, and anytime your manager hears of it, they either belittle your compliments or they take credit for your work. That is definitely a red flag that you are dealing with a toxic boss. The next one is that your manager only focuses on the numbers and not the people. Getting PTO is like asking for $1 million at your company. If your boss is the type of boss who they do not value you, they only value results, then you're definitely working in a very toxic situation. Next, you're expected to be perfect without any room for error. If you find yourself in this situation, then you definitely know it, because you're always afraid of making mistakes. And you fear that if you do make a mistake, that you're going to get in massive trouble for doing so. Maybe in this same situation, you rarely even get acknowledged for the great things that you do, but whenever you do make a mistake, it feels like a ton of bricks is coming down on you for that one mistake. In this type of situation, you may fear that any mistake that you make may give your manager even more reason to think that you're incompetent, because they already kind of give you that feeling that they look down on you. The next one is something that I always hear, and it's that your manager is a micromanager. Your manager has to approve of every single thing you do. And don't be fooled, this happens to people at all different levels of their careers. I've even coached directors who were leaving toxic environments because their higher ups constantly had to tell them how to do things, micromanage them, had to be a part of every single approval before they were able to do what they were hired to do. And so this can be so crippling when it comes to doing an excellent job, because you don't feel like you have the autonomy you need to really thrive and do what you were basically hired to do. The next one is that you are constantly left out. Your manager seems to always leave you out of important meetings that are necessary for you to do your job well. And because of it, it impacts your ability to do your job, and meanwhile, you're still expected to do your job well. And if you're in a situation where there's a little bit of gaslighting going on, your manager may even say that they aren't doing what they're doing. They aren't leaving you out, even though it's blatantly clear that they are. You may be even asked to be a part of bigger projects because you're doing excellent work for your team and your company, but yet your manager keeps finding reasons for you not to be a part of those more visible projects that you would love to be a part of. Number 4, your boss does not take your job seriously. In this type of situation, you feel like you're constantly having to prove the significance of your job. So for example, maybe you are in marketing, but you work at a finance company, and every time you try to do your job, it feels like you're having to constantly help them see why your job is necessary, even though they hired you to be the marketing professional that you are. The next one is that your manager is rude, and that is a no. Like, no. In this situation, they make condescending or even outright disrespectful remarks to you, or worse, they're passively aggressive over email while seeming kind in person. Or worse, they embarrass you in meetings and make you feel small when you are contributing in ways that are valuable. The next one is that your manager criticizes or talks negatively about other people in front of you. So you may feel like that's a okay thing because they're not talking about you, but let me tell you, if your manager is talking about other people to you, they are talking about you to other people. And regardless, that's not even the type of leader that you want leading you and helping you thrive. That's not even the type of leader that you want to be confiding in. Worse, if they look to you to chime in and agree with them when they're bad-mouthing the people you work with, then that is absolutely a red flag. And number 1, if your boss asks you to do things outside of your moral character, then that is a definite red flag that you are in a toxic work relationship. Your boss may even present it as something that's small, like lying on a report or lying to your clients and vendors or falsifying information. That, if that makes you uncomfortable as it should, then that is definitely something that you don't want to ignore or act like it's okay just because your boss makes it okay. If it falls outside of your integrity, then it is a problem. So if you're experiencing any of these signs, you have a few options. First, you can either evaluate the situation and take inventory of the experience at work collectively and decide if it's still worth staying there despite your relationship with your boss. So maybe there are opportunities for you to grow, maybe there's opportunities for you to transition to a new team, maybe there's opportunities for you to continue to thrive on the projects that you're working on despite your boss. If that's the case, do not let your boss run you out of a good opportunity. However, if you feel like your boss is impeding on your health, your space, your peace of mind, and your sanity, then that is definitely a reason for you to really consider looking for a new job and getting a clear exit strategy to help you do that. If this video inspired you to get serious about your job search because you know it's time to get the heck out of there, then you definitely want to grab my free guide on how to go from 0 interviews to dream job offers so that you can take your job search up a notch. In my next video, I'll be talking about how to gracefully resign from your toxic job so that when you do get hired for your next role, you're able to resign with class and with style and without burning any bridges. And so if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know if you could relate to any of these signs that I shared with you today.